Well, welcome to today's talk. Thank you for coming back. It's actually snowing here, let me show you. Yeah, so weather's not getting any better. Okay, right, so for the bottom line on today's video to decide if you want to stick with us. First of all, some news from the United States based on a study. The B.1.1.7 variant now is in 40 states that we know of, probably more. And the numbers of the B.1.1.7, whatever you want to call it, the UK variant, the Kent variant, numbers seem to be doubling about every 8 days. So I'm predicting now that this is going to become the dominant strain in the United States, and that will cause some problems. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping the vaccine programme sort of beats it to it. There's a possibility that the vaccine programme will generate enough immunity so that the B.1.1.7 won't spread. But at the moment, it looks like the B.1.1.7 is slightly ahead. So it is a concern. Super Bowl, need I say more if you live in the United States? Shall we say some inappropriate behaviour has been going on. Yesterday I said there was nothing new much till Memorial Day, but there's always an excuse for a party. Now, the main topic really for today's video is South Africa has suspended the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. And I'll be commenting on this and giving the data we have, which is very limited. And this seems to have caused a bit of a media storm over a paper which doesn't exist as far as I can find. It doesn't seem to have been published yet. So it's based on press reports. And the bottom line there is I think the South African government have got it wrong. They're right that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is not preventing mild and moderate disease as effectively as it would with the new South Africa strain as opposed to the old strain. They're right there, but I think they're wrong to suspend the programme, and I'll be giving you the rationale for that. The main rationale is it's looking like that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is still going to protect against serious disease, hospitalisation and death in most cases. So I think they're wrong to suspend that, but we'll look at that as well. And then we'll finish off by looking at vaccine after effects. Now, people that have had previous, this is data related to the Pfizer vaccine, but we assume this is true for all vaccines. People that have had the infection already and then get the vaccine, they get worse effects when they have the vaccine than people who have not been exposed to the infection before. Now, this is what you'd expect, because when the antigen of the vaccine is introduced into the person, they've already got an immunological response to react to that. Now, giving the vaccine will boost their overall level of immunity. It's the right thing to do, but it's not surprising they get side effects or more side effects. And in a sense, it's good because it means the immune system is kicking in, the immune system is working. And also the data shows that it's worse after the second dose. So if you get someone who's not been exposed to the virus, then they have the first jab, they get minimal side effects. Then they have the second jab, they get more side effects. And again, that's good because it means the immune response is working. And my view, based on the data I have looked at, indicates it's best not to treat the symptoms with antipyretic drugs such as aspirin, ibuprofen, paracetamol, acetaminophen, Tylenol, any of those things. To let the immune system really respond the way it should do to this vaccine. And I believe that will give you a higher level of immunity. I'm not going to give you any hard evidence on that because we don't have any clinical trials on that. But anyway, that's what today's video is about. So they're the bottom line. So if you're short of time, switch off now. That's fine. If not, for those of you that are a bit, I was going to say geeky then, let's not be unkind. Those of us that are more curious, those that are more curious, those that want rationales, then do stick around because I'm going to be here. Right, let's go. First study: Genomic epidemiology identifies emergent and rapid transmission of SARS-CoV-2 B.1.1.7, the UK variant, in the United States. Now, this is not peer-reviewed. This is published in a preprint journal, but it is from some pretty reputable academic institutions based in California. So I've read it, and I'm sure this will pass peer review and go into the literature. So there's the study there. Feel free to look at it for yourself, as always. So background here that they give. B.1.1.7 variant of SARS-CoV-2 has gained a strong foothold across the world. This is unfortunately true. Detection of the variant increased at a logistic rate similar to those observed elsewhere. This is in the United States. Now, I don't pretend to be any kind of mathematician, but what this means, a logistic rate. So if you imagine that is the Imagine that's the graph there. And that is the number of cases up there. And this is time along here. And if you're a mathematician, do correct me if I've got this wrong, but that's time across there. Now, what a logistic means is a kind of a sigmoidal curve. So it starts off really slow increase in numbers like that. Really, really slow. So you can have it for ages and think you haven't got a problem because there's a really slow increase in numbers. And all of a sudden, it takes off like this. And then before it gets to 100%, it levels off again like that and grows slowly again. So that's what this logistic rate means. So where is the United States on this curve? Well, you see, it could well be here, which means in a couple of weeks' time it could be here and then here. This is what happened in the UK and in quite a few other countries. This is why this is dangerous. This is why we keep spreading it, because you think you've no problem. So no problem, no problem, no problem, no problem, no problem, problem. That's kind of the way the nature of this growth, increasing cases goes on. Doubling rate is about 8 days, a little over a week for the number of cases to double. And from the American data, the increase in transmission has been between 35 and 40% more transmissible. In other words, if the R had been 1 with the old variant, it could now equal 1.45 with the new variant. This is all the difference in the world. This means you've got a huge spread throughout the country potentially. Now, this was interesting. They've done like phylogenetic analysis of this, looking at different B.1.1.7 lineages from around the country. And they've deduced that it's been introduced into the United States several times. So it's not just that one person carrying it went into the States and it spread all around. So someone maybe flew into the south, someone flew into the middle, someone flew into the north. So quite a few independent introductions, which doesn't bode well for the growth of it, unfortunately. But maybe as early as late November. So given that it's late November in some areas, that could mean that the United States is round about this kind of level now, because it's had some time to grow in some areas. Onward community transmission, 40 states at least that we know of. Remember, US genomic testing is still low, very low compared to the UK. I mean, in rough figures, in the UK, we're doing genomic testing on about 6% of positive tests. About 6%. Denmark is leading the world by a country mile. They are doing genomic testing on all positive tests. The last time I checked for the United States, it wasn't 6% as the UK is. It wasn't 3%, it was 0.3%. So way behind. So that data is always going to be limited, but it does seem to be on this trajectory of increasing growth, and that is what these mathematical epidemiological modelers think as well. Rapidly became the dominant SARS-CoV-2 variant, as it is in the UK at the moment, unfortunately. And France is going the same way, and Netherlands is going the same way. As we looked at before, it's happening all over Europe, unfortunately. And of course, they say it requires immediate and decisive action to minimise COVID-19 morbidity and mortality. I don't think this is going to happen. Although there were some positive steps in Florida, not really. Super Bowl parties in Tampa. So we know about this new variant, and this doctor here is an epidemiologist. Check out his Twitter link. He's filmed it, people having parties, hundreds of people, tightly packed. I mean, this is just callous behaviour. These people know, everyone knows now, there's no excuse. This is just callous, reckless behaviour, endangering the lives of others. Absolutely disgraceful. The B.1.1.7 is becoming dominant in Florida, so a load of people decided to have a party to celebrate a cultural event. And we've said many times cultural events must be suspended for a period of time, because that's what sporting events are, they're cultural events. And the papers, this doctor said that all people who were at these events must quarantine for 14 days. Of course, because these people are callous and uncaring, they won't. Or the vast majority of them won't, because of we know we have to social distance. We know we have to wear masks. Not to do so is recklessly endangering other people. So what this means is B.1.1.7 will rapidly become the main strain in Florida. That will increase transmission of the virus by 35 to 45%. And that's going to have a knock-on effect on everything. And in areas where the rate of the virus is high, I believe the increase in the rate of the virus, this exponential growth, will outpace the rate of vaccination. So we can expect increases in cases, I believe, in the United States as a result of this. Other areas, the vaccines will get there first and we won't have it. So it's going to be depending on the area. But make no mistake, the populations in Florida, for example, will reap what they have sown. Unfortunately, the minority having an adverse effect on the more responsible majority. Right, South Africa suspends Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, this has come from the South African government as far as we know. And I really don't see the justification for what they've done for suspending this. I think the South African government have got this wrong. Now, let's hope they've done this for the best possible motives. But we know there is a history of corruption in some aspects of the South African government. I mean, I think that's pretty well accepted. Let's hope this is not the case. But what they're doing does not make medical sense to me, and it contradicts what's being done in the UK, for example, as well. Let me tell you about it. This is now there's press reports. This is the only thing I can actually find that is original, and this is basically a press report from Oxford University and what's the name of this other university? Anyway, this South African university, the name will come to me. Van Willebrand or something, I'm afraid I don't know. And anyway, is it on there? No, it's not on there. And anyway, so it's basically a press release. I looked for the paper this morning extensively, and there isn't one. There's certainly not a peer-reviewed paper. I looked for the preprint paper, couldn't find it. So all the world's press is kind of making a big fuss about this, casting aspersions on the vaccination programme based on a peer-reviewed paper which doesn't exist. So I can't say I'm very happy with them, to tell you the truth. Let me just tell you, if you're in the United States or the United Kingdom, whatever you do not let this put you off getting vaccinated. Do not let it put you off. Whatever happens, get your vaccine as soon as you're called for. So 1 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca have arrived in South Africa, produced in India, and it's a very cheap vaccine. I think this is around about $3 per dose. So 1 million doses of that have arrived from the Serum Institute in Pune into South Africa. But the authorities are saying it gives minimal protection against South African variant. Okay, what do they mean by this? So this is the health minister has paused the rollout. Now, this is not a time to pause rollout. This is a time to protect lives. But the Minister of Health has decided to pause the rollout. The variant, the South Africa variant, is becoming dominant in South Africa, this new South Africa variant, which we'll look at. No significant protection against illness, but all the cases of disease were mild or moderate as far as we know. So, yes, people can still get infected after the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine with the South Africa variant, but they don't seem to go to hospital, they don't seem to get very sick, and they don't want to die. Well, they don't want to die, but they're much less likely to die. But vaccinated people will probably still allow ongoing transmission. So this is the case, but the reason I want the vaccine is, I'd love to be vaccinated, because it means I'm less likely to get really sick and less likely to die. And it also means I contribute towards herd immunity. Now, if it had no effect on me and it still contributed towards herd immunity, of course I would still have the vaccine. But the main reason I'm desperate to get the vaccine now is I don't want to get really sick and I don't want to die. And I would assume the people in South Africa are the same, and yet their government seems to have deprived them of this chance. This really does, it really is difficult to understand. So yes, this is probably true. So what it means is we need to we need to move for a period of time from the herd immunity we'd hope for. We might not get the herd immunity we'd hope for, but we can have individual protection. And this is what health services do. we protect individuals as well as protecting communities. And this seems to have been suspended in South Africa. Right, now, has already been reported in those with infections. So, in other words, people were infected in what we might call the first wave in South Africa. Probably where have I gone? Probably back in, sort of March, April, May time. Then those people can become reinfected or recolonized at least with the new South Africa variant and can still pass it on. That is a problem. So the herd immunity we'd really been hoping for in South Africa has taken quite a serious knock. There's no two ways about that. But we need to protect individuals. We need to protect individuals. Now, that university, I couldn't remember the name of, this is the study, with Waterstrand and Oxford University collaboration. Right, so this is the study, not published even in preprint as far as I can find, certainly not peer-reviewed, and yet everyone's bouncing up and down about it, and it could be having an adverse effect on the vaccine programme globally, which does concern me. So, Waterstrand and Oxford University, great to see they're working together, study of about 2,000. Now, I've got N2000 there because we don't know the exact number. This annoys me. So a press report says about 2,000. Well, was it 1,900? Was it 2,100? We don't know. The paper's not there. It's very, very frustrating that so much is being made of a paper that doesn't yet exist. Adults between 18 and 64, several sites in South Africa, all good. Last summer and autumn, all good. Now, the B.1.351 is the South Africa variant. 92% of all cases in South Africa this week, as far as the latest data I've got. So this is pretty well it now. In other words, 92%, if we think about this graph, South Africa is probably about here. So it will probably continue to grow now up to 98% or something, but it'll do so more slowly now because of this sigmoid logistic rate of growth. Now, it contains the EK mutation. So that stands for E484K. Now, that is the amino acid that used to be on the 484th position of the protein that makes up the spike protein. This is part of the receptor binding domain. So that E amino acid has now been substituted via the mutation to the K amino acid. So the 484th position on the protein, on the spike protein, the amino acid is no longer an E, it's a K. And these are letters so the E stands for glutamate and the the K stands for lysine. So the E is converted to the K. In other words, it's no longer a glutamate as it was, it's now a lysine. Just that mutation. But the South African mutation contains other mutations, and it also contains the N that's converted to the Y on the 501. And this is the mutation it has in common with the UK variant. But the reduction of vaccine efficacy against the UK variant is pretty minimal, and we still know that it's protecting from ongoing transmission. So I really can't stress enough that this must not reduce your eagerness to get vaccinated. Now, having said that, this B.1.351 variant, the South Africa variant, it is present in the States. 3 states, including Virginia, that I know of, and there's 147 cases in the UK. Now, the UK is absolutely doing a blitz on this. Door-to-door testing and all sorts to try and get this contained. And we just really hope they can do so, because if it gets out, it will be a problem. It will be a problem. Now, the good news here is that the Oxford Vaccine Group have already tweaked their vaccine to be more effective, more efficacious against the South Africa variant. And it will. I expect that with this newly designed vaccine, they've got the efficacy with the South Africa variant will go up to 70, 80 or 90%. But it's not available yet. It won't be available probably till the autumn. So it is coming. So the quest for the United States and Europe and the UK is to keep this South Africa variant out of the country. Why we let it in the first place, I have no idea. We were advocating reducing flights since February 2020 on this channel, as were many others, but they just carried on flying in and out of South Africa as if there was no issue. It was only stopped really quite late, the flights out from South Africa to the UK. But that's where we are now. let's hope we can get on top of it and stop its reintroduction and stop its community spread in the UK and the United States. That is what we have to do at the moment. So in a sense, we're fortunate in the UK that the UK variant, the Kent variant, the 2012 B.1.1.7 variant, is still the Oxford vaccine is still efficacious against that, where it's less efficacious against the South Africa variant in terms of mild disease. But so we've been fortunate, but let's make the most of that good fortune and keep this South African variant out. Now, the vaccine group in this small study of 2,000, 19 cases of COVID-19 caused by the variant. Mild disease defined by one or more symptoms. The placebo group got 20. Now, that suggests an efficacy of 10%, which is, I agree, completely disappointing. But some news agencies are saying the efficacy is 22%. They're both very low. Now, the likelihood, though, is, and we don't have the data on this, but the likelihood is that the vaccine is going to prevent against severe disease. So someone vaccinated with the Oxford vaccine who gets the South Africa variant could still get mild disease. But we believe that they won't get very sick. Now, we can't prove that. The data for that is not there in this study. But that does seem to be the consensus of opinion. So participants in the trial were young and healthy. Median age was 31, so not a representative sample. Therefore, they didn't get severe disease. Therefore, the degree to which the vaccination protects against severe disease could not be deduced from this study. That's what they're saying. So on the basis of that, on the basis of saying that this study did not prove that the South Africa variant, on the basis of saying that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine did not prove that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine protected against severe disease with the South Africa mutation, on the lack of that proof, they've decided to suspend the programme. Right. Now, on the South Africa variant, still Novavax and Johnson & Johnson, we looked at this last week, 50 to 60% efficacy against the South African variant, so that's more fortunate in people who don't have HIV. And the Johnson & Johnson protected against moderate and severe disease, so we do know that one protected against severe disease. So there we have the data to say that the Johnson & Johnson protected against severe disease, but of course these aren't yet online, they're not yet supplied, they're not yet authorised. But the point is that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is an adenovirus vector, the same as the Oxford viruses, and works in a very similar way. So I would have thought, you can't extrapolate from one to the other, but to me that makes it more likely that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine will prevent many cases of severe disease and death amongst people infected with the South Africa variant. So the conclusion of this, we might need to move from a hope for herd immunity to individual protection against severe disease. So we might have to settle for this for the time being. But personally, I would like to be protected from severe disease and death. So let's hope the South African government change their mind, unless they get massive supplies of the Novavax and Johnson & Johnson vaccine tomorrow and authorise it immediately and start bashing it out to their people. But I think you and me know that's not going to happen for some time. Right, last thing today, vaccine side effects, as we talked about. Now let's look at this. This is part of the COVID symptom tracker data. Vaccine after effects, published on the 4th of February. Likelihood of experiencing one or more mild systemic effects, after effects. So systemic means affecting the whole body. So like a local effect would be a sore arm, a painful arm, an arm doesn't move properly because it's painful. Whereas a systemic effect would be something like nausea, headache, fatigue, something that's affecting the whole body. So, as is usual with these COVID symptom tracker app studies, the numbers are large, although we did notice yesterday that there's been a very poor uptake in Northern Ireland, which is disappointing. So perhaps some of the self-appointed community leaders in Northern Ireland could stimulate their communities to download the COVID symptom tracker app for the good of everyone. And you can download it in the United States now, so check it out and let's get this one rolling in the United States as well. So, but good data from England, Scotland and Wales from the COVID symptom tracker app. This is talking about the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. The data will be coming for the Oxford vaccine soon, we would hope. Data comes from a subsample of 40,000, so that's still a good sample size. Largest study group outside trials, that's good. Up to the 4th of January. Now, many of the people that were vaccinated were healthcare workers. Now, here we have the first data point. In terms of getting one or more mild systemic side effect. This is the data. So people that had not been previously infected, 19% of them got one systemic side effect or more. People that were previously infected got way more. Now, this doesn't sound good because people are feeling bad for 24 hours or so, but it's actually encouraging because it means they're mounting a vigorous immune response to it. And this will boost their immunity. So like if you're exposed to a virus in the natural situation, you'll develop a degree of immunity. Then if you're exposed to the same virus 6 months later, that will boost your immunity. It will enhance the immune effect. So the more you're exposed to it, the more you're going to become immune. I mean, we've known this for hundreds of years. So Edward Jenner, who started vaccination, he immunised. He actually put cowpox into James Phipps's arm. He inoculated him, and inoculation is the right term there. He inoculated him with cowpox, and then he exposed him to smallpox, and James didn't get the smallpox, meaning that the cowpox had protected against the smallpox. But then what Edward Jenner did was a couple of years later, or a period of time later, I don't know how long, he exposed James to smallpox again, and he still didn't get it. Then he exposed him to smallpox again a few years after that, and he didn't get it again. Because what would actually happen is every time James was exposed to smallpox, he didn't get the disease because he was immune from having the cowpox. But every time he was exposed to the smallpox, that would enhance. It would boost his immunity to the smallpox. So that is known to happen. So these boosters are really good. Now, if someone said to me, do you want to feel a bit poorly for a bit rough for 24 hours and have immunity? I would feel a bit rough for 24 hours and have immunity. And also it would be good to get a bit of a boost as well. The more immunity we have, of course, the better. Systemic side effects are specified with the COVID Symptom Tracker app. This is the group of the whole, people that have been infected, people that have not been infected. Overall, systemic after effects after the Pfizer-BioNTech. Fatigue 9%, headache 8%, chills or shivers 4%. Most mild systemic after effects appeared within 2 days. So these appear, most of these appear within the first couple of days after vaccination. And only 3% of people have side effects after 3 days. And there's a couple of pictures that we can probably use here. So here we are. So this is the first dose, and we see pretty low levels of side effects after the first dose. And this is after the second dose, where we see slightly higher levels of side effects. And here we have the side effects: fatigue, headache, chills or shivers, unusual joint pains, unusual muscle pains. It needs to move across a bit, doesn't it? There we go. Fever, nausea, diarrhea. So this was after the first dose here, and after the second dose there. So for most people, relatively minor, and a price I would gladly pay if someone came along to vaccinate me. Right. Local effects, of course, as with any vaccine. After the first dose, pain in the arm 37%, after the second dose 45%. Again, showing you're getting a localized inflammatory-based immunological response even locally in the arm. So that's, again, it's not nice at the time, but it's another good thing. It shows the vaccine is working. It shows there is an immunological response which is generating some inflammation. It's the inflammation that causes the pain. So again, these are all very reassuring side effects, really. At least one systemic effect within 7 days. So after the first dose, 14%. After the second dose, 22%. So again, we can see that after the first dose, less people getting side effects, more people getting side effects in total getting at least one systemic side effect after the second dose, 22%. Now, interestingly, this was after at least one systemic effect within 7 days. Men, 13% of men got a side effect. Women, it was 19%. So this is interesting because this seems to be indicating that women are generating a better immunological response than men. And this has been a theme throughout this pandemic, hasn't it? So more women getting side effects, less men getting side effects, but that's probably bad for the men because it means they're not generating as vigorous an immune response as women. Having said that, of course, men still generate an immune response which is usually more than adequate. So still well worth doing. And another interesting one that came out of this, under 55s, 21% got at least one side effect. Over 55s, 14% got one side effect. Again, indicating that the under 55s are generating a stronger immunological response than the over 55s. Again, having said that, we know that the vaccine is efficacious. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and the Oxford vaccine are efficacious in the older age groups. And we have phase 3 clinical trial data indicating that is the case with the Pfizer vaccine. We have phase 2 clinical trial data indicating that is true with the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, despite the actions of the French and German authorities, who haven't authorised the Oxford vaccine for use in older age groups, which I think is a great pity. Right, same study, vaccine hesitancy. Over 1 million app users, 95% were happy to take the vaccine straight away. And 5% were unsure or unwilling for reasons we'll just check in a minute. Now, of course, this is not a representative sample because the people that care enough to fill out the COVID symptom tracker app like you and I do, they're obviously interested and better informed than the average. So 95% would not be a national average for the UK, but it is the average for the people that care enough to fill out the COVID symptom tracker app. Vaccine hesitancy at the moment, I don't believe is a problem. We just need to get out as much vaccine out as we can. There will be a time when we have to talk about vaccine hesitancy, but at the moment, the supply of vaccine is way less than the number of people that want it. Way less at the moment. So we will worry about that when the time comes, if the time comes. Main 3 reasons given for hesitancy. Few people worried about long-term side effects. So remember that's only 2.5% of the total, because it's only 5% altogether. A lot of people simply said they didn't know, which is fair enough. So it's our job to tell them. Concerns about potential adverse reactions, 31%. And some people, to be fair, will have a history of allergy, who need to be looked after a little bit more carefully, but would normally not form a contraindication to vaccination. Good. So this is qualified, but it does mean that herd immunity is going to take longer than we'd thought or longer than we'd hoped because of the new variants that are arising. So it is a concern, but it also means that we still have to focus on protecting individuals from getting very sick and from dying, and that will take the pressure off the health service, as well as preventing a lot of people feeling very sick and preventing some people from dying. And of course, the other thing we don't know yet is, but with a milder disease that someone will get, if they did get the disease after they've been vaccinated, even if they had a new variant, I would think that would mean they're less likely to get long-term side effects. Now, we don't know that yet, the data's not there, but it would make sense that they will be less likely to become long haulers as well. But as soon as we get data on that, we'll start talking about it for sure. But it's what makes sense from where we are at the moment. I think I'll just show you a few pictures. Completely lose track of time on these videos. I don't know how long I've talked for, but probably not too long. Now, this is Colorado a couple of days ago, and I don't think you need me to comment. Now, having said that, it's outdoors, which is good, but I understand they're waiting for ski lifts, which of course are all those people. If they're going on closed-in ski lifts, dear oh dear oh dear oh me in Colorado, that is just appalling. So, bit of a cause for concern. That's actually in Steamboat, Colorado. I'm sorry, I can't remember who sent those in, but thank you for them. You'll recognise them. Right. This is good news. Sandy, whose video we did yesterday, has had a drive-through and she's had the second dose of a vaccine. So delighted to see that, Sandy. A lot of people took an interest in your story yesterday, and we're delighted that you had the second dose of the vaccine on Saturday, I believe that was. So excellent, and we continue to wish you the best for your upcoming unfortunate surgery. So we wish you a speedy recovery from that. Oh, this is good. I meant to put this up ages ago. North Essex. Cases are high. Don't want you, go away. That's it. So now what I'm pleased to see here is hands, face, space, ventilate your home. Well done, North Essex. Well done indeed. You are promoting the importance of ventilation, which is still not where we would like it to be. Okay, that's us for today. A bit longer, a bit harder than we thought, but I still believe that with the right vaccination strategy, we can still eliminate this wretched virus in a few seasons, but it will take the right vaccination strategy. The tweaks are being made, and it will have to be rolled out globally because, as we said yesterday, what we need to do is reduce the number of viruses. If we reduce the number of viruses in the whole wide world by reducing the number of infected people, that will reduce the number of viral replications, and this virus only mutates when it's replicating. So that will get rid of the new variants for us as we vaccinate. Billions of people are going to be, billions of basically virtually the whole world's population is going to need to be vaccinated. So it's a big job, but we can do it, and I believe we will. But I do believe it's going to take a few seasons. So that's where we are now. Plenty of cause for hope and optimism. Yeah, I think that's all we'll do for now. So thank you for watching. Of course, there's always more to say, but we'll leave it for now. Okay, thank you.